This video is sponsored by Noble Gold. Nothing invokes full-scale panic like Wall Street panicking, but quietly, secretly, as you watch this within full view of the markets, that's exactly what the U.S. corporate insiders are doing. CNN reported $600 million of stock has been sold each day in August. This only happened previously before the 2008 crash. Insider selling has topped $10 billion for 5 months straight. Hit the link below and someone will contact you and you will get the free gold and silver investment guide that's been downloaded over 50,000 times.
Michelle Cardona and her family attend service here every Sunday at Queen of Angels Church in Riverside. But earlier today, almost an hour into Mass, a woman bolted through the glass doors and cried out in Spanish.
"We're all going to die." And then the people in the very back of the church, they start sitting down.
Moments later, a man runs in and yells,
"Everyone down. There's someone in the back with a gun. He's going to kill all of us."
Michelle says no one could actually hear the suspect making the threats because he was standing behind these glass doors that lead inside the church. But the woman who first cried out told Michelle,
He was praying by the fountain of holy water, and he said, "God, forgive me for what I'm about to do," and he threw a cross at the ground. Without
hesitation, Michelle called 911, then ducked down with her little brother and sister, praying they'd be okay. In the meantime, the priest tried to calm everyone down, continuing with the Mass by singing and praying.
And I thought that was really beautiful, that he was still remaining calm.
The suspect escaped through the front door before Riverside police arrived.
A lot of anger, a lot of destruction, devastation.
This is what Lori Pizer saw when she walked into Faith United Church of Christ last Wednesday morning.
I couldn't understand why. Why would someone do something like that? It just didn't make sense to me.
Police say 23-year-old Aaron Van Oppens and 22-year-old Nicholas Redding broke into the church and tore through the sanctuary. They destroyed precious heirlooms, even the bathrooms, and left hateful messages.
It's tragic, because I spent my life here. And the fact that two people kind of just did it for no reason, it was pretty upsetting.
But their spirits were strong, and the community came together to clean up the church.
It shows a lot about our congregation as a whole, and the fact that we cleaned so much and got ready already for service.
It won't be completely the same. We will not have a pipe organ today. We'll be playing a piano, which an out-of-tune piano, because it seems that they tried to flip that as well, but I think they failed. And then the altar's bare. We're missing a number of items that were destroyed.
Today's service may look and sound a bit different, but the message is unwavering.
Forgiveness being one, and the second, and most importantly, is we can't be beat by bad, and we have to stand up and keep going forward.
The Old Dutch Community Church stands as a pillar for faithful families in a small town in Monroe County, just as it has for nearly 200 years. But Monday night, someone decided to leave unwanted marks on this house of worship.
I'm very saddened by this. I don't understand why somebody would want to harm, especially this old of a church.
Jamie Smith and her family drove to Ellettsville tonight to see what vandals did to this place.
I don't know if I can really say the word how I feel, but I'm mad. Royally mad. This church has been here forever, and I've been coming out here since my grandparents have been buried out here.
Monroe County Sheriff's Deputy Tim Pittman found the graffiti.
I think it's completely uncalled for, and as you can see, it's very unnecessary and disrespectful in my opinion.
He says these two people spray painted signs, words, and symbols sometime Monday night between 9 and 11. Some of the crime captured on these surveillance cameras.
Hopefully they get some good clear images on their camera system here.
In the hour or so that we've been here, people just keep coming from all over the county to see the mess left here. And for a lot of the people that we've spoken to, their family ties to this place date back generations.
Heading
Walking into church for Sunday Mass, parishioners at Notre Dame de Lourdes Parish in Swarthmore were met with this black spray paint with the message, "You do not have the right to decide how others live," with the hashtag pro-choice.
It was very shocking to come up to the church this morning and see that.
Jessica Prince chatted with us, telling us she cried through much of this morning's Mass.
I'd have to say at least the first half of Mass was me crying the whole time because I was just so upset that somebody would do that to the church.
The side of the church building was also hit. Again, the message pro-choice. The Archdiocese of Philadelphia confirmed police are now on the case.
If people wanted to come and stand outside of our church and protest whatever their beliefs are, go for it. But vandalizing a property, I think that's taking it way too far.
It hurts.
Reverend Joseph Jude Gannon, pastor, Shrine Church of St. Gerard Majella, sharing sentiments of his Hollis Queens parishioners. Who is this woman, and why would she vandalize the sacred Stations of the Rosary, the prayer path, and 20 curbside potted plants outside the school and church on 2 consecutive Sundays?
Some of them are just shattered, and they're going to have to be resent from Italy.
Destroying costly handmade sculpture crafted in Italy. 20 Stations of the Rosary, so meaningful to the faithful. Video surveillance did not deter the suspect.
It's sad that somebody vandalizes. I see many people coming here, just coming right here. There's a bench where they come and pray.
Hollis, this is a very welcoming and very home-feeling community. And I actually went to St. Gerard.
St. Gerard is known as the patron saint of expectant mothers, and recent fundraising from New York couples helped pay for the now destroyed art.
This person needs to be brought to justice. We're working with the NYPD, and we need to continue to foster an environment of respect.
Investigators say the suspect carries a bag loaded with tools, sharp instruments, even a hacksaw.
It's also a matter of time to make sure that we get her before she hurts herself or others, or escalating to something else.
Surveillance cameras show this man wearing a mask, busting out windows at St. Peter's Catholic Church and then running away. An hour later, the suspect goes back to the church a second time, breaking out even more windows.
This is the one that's going to be expensive to fix because this is stained glass again. He busted that out.
But before that, Father Charles Codis says the suspect was ringing his doorbell around 5:30 Saturday morning.
It was just one ring. Usually when people want to bother you, they punch the doorbell about 6 or 8 times, but they didn't do that.
He says it was thundering outside, so he thought the rain caused the bell to go off, but minutes later the suspect is caught on camera vandalizing the church.
He came back, busted out 2 windows, and he came back and busted out 3 more, so that's a scary thing.
Codis says there's at least $1,000 in damages.
This is all lead in here. All these things are leaded in, so when you bust that out, you got to take the whole pane and re-lead the whole thing, and you basically have to create the whole window again.
A place where a West Side community comes to pray falls victim to vandalism. A statue of Jesus at Our Lady of Guadalupe Church on El Paso Street was smashed and broken. It's unclear when the statue was damaged or who is behind the vandalism, but one woman says last weekend the statue was fine. When she arrived for prayer today, that wasn't the case.
The gate wasn't usually locked. You could just come through. That's why I told my daughter, well, let's just go around. But then, we came here, and now I guess we know why everything's going to be locked. That's very sad. It's very disgusting. I mean, somebody that has nothing else to do, do anything else, but don't destroy that. I mean, that's very sacred to us.
We were shocked, we were surprised.
Executive Pastor Amado Huizer arrived at his church for Sunday morning services to see graffiti spray painted on the side.
And we were very shocked, very saddened. It was like, as you would, a kick to the gut to find that out on a Sunday morning when people are about to come to church.
He called police, who say they are investigating the vandalism as a hate crime.
I forgive them, and I pray God's love and grace and mercy on them, that they could own up to what they did, and hopefully that this was a very careless act that they did.
Huizer's South Bay United Pentecostal Church is a vocal opponent to this week's drag queen story time at the Chula Vista Library. Police tell News 8 there is no indication of a correlation between the opposition and the vandalism, although Huizer believes the vandals did this to try to instill fear.
We will not be silenced. We have been a staple in this community for decades.
The vandalism comes a day before Huizer is set to meet with Mayor Mary Salazar about the event.
We plan on bringing this up and sharing how this event is causing more harm than good. At least have an opportunity to share the viewpoints of the community and to see really, is this really the benefit for Chula Vista?
Weezer says ultimately it's about dialogue ahead of Tuesday's controversial story time.
We do want to talk about that because the message on both sides is love, and this of course is not love, and we will continue to stand with that. We will continue to have conversations in love, conversations in peace, and to bring the unity of the community together.
It was just after 1 on Saturday afternoon at St. Mary's Basilica.
We had people working here and changing over the church to Advent, and there was a couple of people praying in church.
That's when parish manager Jerome Doris says 35-year-old Devon Thomas made his way into the church and headed down the main aisle towards the altar.
And then went up into the sanctuary, climbed onto the main altar, where we had these two beautiful statues of two angels, and took those off and threw them on the ground and broke them.
Two plaster cast angels, one at least 100 years old, and the suspect wasn't finished.
And then took the crucifix off, the small crucifix that sat over the tabernacle, and also threw that on the ground and broke that also and destroyed it.
A quick-thinking church employee wrestled the suspect to the ground, but not before 3 delicate pieces of church history were badly damaged.
Two angels, one is much more badly broken than the other. We're not quite sure if they are restorable at the moment.
Church officials have decided to keep the priceless relics on display on a side altar as a reminder that there are broken and vulnerable members of our community who need our help.
As a society, we're not caring for them enough and not putting enough resource into them. And if we did, that's really the solution to these kind of problems.
Nicole Zymek.
Concern tonight in the Pomona Valley. It appears a vandal is targeting Catholic churches and destroying precious statues. KCAL9's Nicole Comstock live in Chino for us at the scene of a second attack in more than a month. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Crystal. Well, these crimes are a mystery to both of these churches. And if you take a look behind us, you can see these other smaller statues here in the garden. They're kneeling and praying, and they're supposed to be looking up at this statue of Mary, who is covered up in this cloth tonight, the church says, because she's too upsetting to look at in this condition. Pulling off the painter's tape and peeling back a white sheet, Marianne Hacker uncovers a headless statue of Mary.
This is a place where we come to feel safe, to feel God's presence, to worship with our community.
She's guarded the chapel for over 50 years. The entire time St. Margaret Mary's Catholic Church has been here on Central Avenue in Chino.
And it brings people comfort.
Until Saturday night, when a vandal trespassed onto the property and delivered a blow that severed the statue in two.
It's like a clean cut.
A clue that made the church recall a strikingly similar crime at another local Catholic church.
And that's why I'm thinking it was a sledgehammer like they used at Our Lady of Lourdes.
Just 1 month ago and 3 miles away in Montclair, this person was caught on camera hopping onto a planter at Our Lady of Lourdes Catholic Church and using what appeared to be a sledgehammer to hack the heads off 2 of their statues.
Definitely trying to make a statement.
St. Margaret Mary's Church thinks this is the same person responsible for both crimes. And now they wonder if that was the same person who destroyed their double-pane stained glass window last month.
In a place full of amazing views, the Chapel of the Holy Cross is world famous, which is why it's hard to believe that anyone would want to destroy it.
The spray paint was all across here. We had glass and so forth all over here.
In a few minutes, Betty McGinnis's church,
Sorry.
the place she takes care of, her home for the last 21 years, was shattered.
My first question was, please tell me everybody's okay.
The Chapel of the Holy Cross is one of Sedona's most famous landmarks, a Catholic church built into the Red Rocks, a huge concrete cross at the front, almost splitting the rock in two. Sedona police say Timothy Larson climbed up those rocks and came inside with a crowbar.
He took the crowbar and just really hit the tabernacle.
Police say Larson spray painted the word evil in front of the door and was ranting about the Catholic Church before disappearing down the rocks again. But as he did, police say he threw his business cards in the air. Cards that pointed to his Twitter feed, which is full of bizarre rantings, calling himself a lawless, untouchable immortal. He tweeted that he had planned to carry out his mission 2 days ago, but didn't have the time. Sedona police put out their own post on social media, which led to someone spotting Larson and calling police.
churches and schools and hospitals, these libraries, these kinds of things are supposed to be safe zones from crime and violence, but you know, it doesn't appear that that's really the case anymore.
I mean, it's typically such a peaceful place. If you've ever been, you know. Witnesses say he was yelling about the Catholic Church and human trafficking. Sedona police did send out an alert to the community. They were able to take this guy into custody. There's no word yet if the chapel has any damages.
We are continuing to follow a developing story. A day after allegedly targeting a West Michigan church, Anthony Wabindano made his first appearance in court.
The prosecuting attorney charged Wabindano with 4 felonies. 24-Hour News 8's Brady Gillum was in court today for the suspect's arraignment.
The man who police say vandalized a church planted high-powered firecrackers inside the building and attacked 2 parishioners found it hard to sit still during today's arraignment.
In count 3, you are charged with resisting obstructing a police officer. Mr. Wabindano, you may stand if you wish. Well, I'll tell you who your lawyer will be if you come back up here and just stand here for a moment.
You're not cooperating with the process, right?
All right, you can hear me in that room, correct, Deputy?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, if you can't hear me, please interrupt me, okay? I'd like you to keep him in the room right there.
New today, 32-year-old Anthony Wabindano arraigned on 4 criminal counts. 2 counts of assault with a dangerous weapon, a 4-year felony, 1 count of resisting a police officer, a 2-year felony, and a 5-year felony count of malicious destruction of personal property. Wabindano made it clear from the beginning what he thinks about the allegations.
In count 1, that you did make an assault upon a John with a dangerous weapon, namely a stick and or rod, but without intending to commit the crime of murder or to inflict great bodily harm less than the crime of murder.
In fact, Wabindano paced for most of the arraignment.
In count 3, you're charged with resisting obstructing a police officer.
Police say 32-year-old Wabindano of White Cloud drove to Grand Haven yesterday morning and planted 15 M5000 firecrackers throughout the church. Investigators say he attacked 2 church employees with a dowel from a chair and threatened to kill them. He also allegedly vandalized the inside of the church. Nobody was hurt in the incident. His mom telling 24-Hour News 8 yesterday that her son has mental health and drug problems.
Disturbing act of vandalism tonight under investigation in New Jersey. A crucifix outside the St. Vincent de Paul Church in Bayonne was destroyed last night. A witness telling police she saw a man remove the cross from the front lawn of the church, then throw it to the ground, causing it to break in half. The man then took one of the pieces and slammed it repeatedly against a wall. That caused the attached statue of Jesus to break apart.
It's a shame, you know, that it's happening nowadays, especially in this community that once this is a peaceful community. This is a church, it's a sacred, it should be respected.
Police say the crucifix was valued at more than $1,500. Of course, it means much more than that. The people in that church, there were no surveillance cameras outside the church so far, no suspects.
At first glance, Our Lady of Sisney in her beautiful red dress seems fine, but taking a closer look, you can see her arm and the attached baby Jesus are broken off.
It has been very distressing. People are heartbroken.
Our Lady of Sisney is the patron saint of a province in Ecuador. She is very important to members of this Park Slope church. But last Wednesday morning, surveillance video caught this man carrying the religious statue out of the church.
I believe, he must have been on a mission.
A sinister mission to remove the statue from its pedestal in the sanctuary. Father Willie Kingsley Nadee says when a cleaner realized it was missing, a custodial staff member found it in the trash across 4th Avenue.
A lot of people still do not understand why is it that someone would take a statue and just, dump it in a garbage can.
I saw what happened, and it's a shame. It's a pity.
Longtime parishioner Sal Ford says the thief belongs behind bars.
If I was here that day, if I saw that, I would have stopped him. I would have stopped him and called the police on him.
According to the Archdiocese of Brooklyn, this is the second time in 3 weeks this has happened. In the previous incident, the statue was also dumped in the trash, but that was not reported to police. Father Nadee says he doesn't recognize the man in the surveillance video, but the suspect knew his way around.
The person walks into the church, very comfortably, He seems to know the place.
It's a sacrilegious thing to do, to go into a sacred place and steal something.
So you would think, but this man appears to have no problem walking right into St. Monica's Roman Catholic Church, grabbing antique brass candlestick holders and claiming them as his. Disturbing the peace in a place on the Upper East Side, people search for serenity. When neighbor Erin DeRay saw this surveillance video, her face said it all. Disbelief.
They have their doors open for everyone, and I mean, people go in and out of there all day long for masses and just sometimes just to say a quiet prayer.
The incident happened on January 30th between two masses at around 9:30 in the morning. Police say the man stole 4 candlestick holders worth about $3,000. The following day, the priest noticed they were missing and told the parish plant manager, who immediately checked surveillance.
I got very upset. I was like, what is this guy doing? I mean,
we're told the suspect walked right into the altar area here, a place only priests and church staff are allowed, and then took the candlestick holders right off of the ledge here.
There was a few people in there, mostly as old people, so I guess nobody wants to get in trouble, say, no, what are you doing?
The man taking advantage of the place that has its doors open every weekday from 7 a.m. to 4 for parishioners, the homeless, or anyone passing by.
Because of what he did, things might change here.
Tonight, police are searching for the man seen here in security video destroying statues at a Brooklyn church.
Investigators say the vandal struck early Sunday morning at Our Lady of Consolation Roman Catholic Church on Metropolitan Avenue in Williamsburg, and this isn't the first time. The church was vandalized back in July.
It's just amazing because they're just like the giving church. They keep putting up their statues and altars and things like that, which is just such a gracious move by them. But yeah, it's really disheartening.
The NYPD Hate Crimes Task Force is now investigating. Anyone with information is asked to contact police.
Sometime the morning of last December 14th, someone broke into Rejoice Lutheran Church. It's on South 138th. They ended up stealing thousands of dollars worth of musical equipment, including a piccolo valued at $2,600. Wouldn't be his first time doing this. This is his mugshot from 2009 after he was arrested in this theft from St. Peter Claver Cristo Rey School. 2 HP computers were taken that time. It also happened in December.
I would have never thought that that's what would have happened.
A naked man in broad daylight running through the streets.
I'm shocked, but you don't expect it in Mount Lebanon.
Then scaling the Bower Hill Community Church, climbing towards the steeple.
When I found out that he had climbed the church and jumped off, I really felt bad before him.
Cindy Scharf said her daughter watched as police surrounded the church, yelling up for the man who stared straight through them.
She was really frightened because the guy was up there on the top of the steeple, and she was afraid he was going to die.
It eventually walked to the northwest corner, paused for a moment, then took a couple steps and walked straight off the edge.
And a statue of the Virgin Mary was found beheaded at the Church of St. Gerard in Port Jefferson Station. Police say the vandals struck sometime over the weekend. Along with the head, the hands were also taken off the statue. The vandalism was discovered Sunday morning.
For 60 years, those who attend St. Bede's Catholic Church in Hayward have passed by a group of statues out front depicting Mary's appearance to the children of Fatima. But lately, they've become a symbol of man's cruelty.
I'm just heartbroken to see how this happened.
How? What heart do you have that could do this?
A few weeks ago, a vandal defaced the statues, breaking off Mary's hands and the heads of the 3 children and a lamb. And it's not the first time it's happened. The statues have been damaged 3 times in the last few years. Why do you think somebody would do something like this?
I don't know, probably he's a hater or something.
Church workers say they heard arguing coming from Pastor William Granny's office at about 2 p.m. When the workers went to investigate, they saw the suspect punch and kick the priest and pour a bottle of wine over him. The employees were able to get the man out of the building and call police. Pastor Granny was taken to a local hospital and is said to be in stable condition. Another worker sustained minor injuries. The attacker was also taken to the hospital with minor injuries. Police plan to arrest him once he's discharged.
Она изнутри сейчас все выглядит. Вон она пошла, видишь, пошла. Да вижу. Он понимает, сверху это все херня. Она изнутри горит все.
Yeah, when you have as many doors as we do.
For 28 years, Iron Bridge Church has served the community.
Tuesday, it was a polling location.
Apparently, our electronic system did not work properly to relock one of the doors that was unlocked for the polling.
Around 11:30 Tuesday night, this man made his way to the unlocked door and walked in. He went upstairs and grabbed a couple of Bibles.
Came through just throwing pages, ripping them and throwing them out as he came through.
When he got here,
took something out of his pocket, broke a window, but didn't go in the office, just broke the window.
The entire time he was inside, he just walked.
With a purpose. It was a purposeful walk. But again, ripping and tearing.
The suspect also left a very long trail of blood from the broken window to back out the door he came in.
I hurt for the brothers and sisters at Iron Bridge.
Just 4 miles away.
This level, this intensity is new.
Chester Presbyterian Church vandalized 4 times in just 8 days, starting October 27th.
We came in and found one door smashed open, and a building was traversed with floor lamp lights broken. An American flag was lit on fire that belonged to the Boy Scouts.
In those 8 days, Chester Presbyterian Church had multiple glass doors broken and graffiti spray painted on one of their buildings. As for the suspect here at Iron Bridge, he's described as a white male in his late 20s to early 30s. He has dark hair, and he appears to be wearing an I Love Jesus hat.
Well, a church is about the last place you'd expect to hear about someone getting punched in the face, but police say that is exactly what happened here 2 days ago here on East 79th Street at St. Monica's Catholic Church. We have some surveillance video to show you. This is the suspect, a woman believed to be in her 50s. Her name may be Annie, and police say around 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday, that woman punched a 70-year-old woman in the side of her face with a closed fist, leaving her with minor bruises and swelling. Police say the victim was praying by herself and had music playing on her phone. The suspect allegedly yelled, "Shut up," before going on the attack, which they say was unprovoked.
My first thought was get my family out of there.
She starts talking all this craziness about the rapture not being real and everyone's going to hell.
When police say 31-year-old Anna Conkey walked into a Sitkanu church service with a gun in one hand and her 10-month-old child in the other. She made several threats before churchgoers stepped in and disarmed the woman. David Michael Miller with the Navy was one of them.
One of the older gentlemen grabbed it from her, and then me and a couple of other men tackled her, and we got the baby away from her. And then a few minutes after that, the cops came in. She was like trying to run away or something, so a cop tackled her through a bunch of rows of chairs, and they arrested her.
Authorities say the gun she had wasn't loaded. We're learning new information about Conkey.
An ordinary bus with a big job.
We pick up certain children. There's a benefactor who gave us the bus to help out with children who don't have a way to get to school.
Now 1 week out before St. Catherine Catholic Church begins classes, and their only means of student transportation is out of service.
The timing couldn't be worse.
It's all thanks to someone who decided to leave their mark in pieces under the cover of night, busting out the driver's window.
Locks and gates and fences only can keep honest people honest, you know?
The church says they think this vandal knew exactly what he was doing. He broke through this fence, cut this chain, and even avoided showing his face on camera. You can see in the video a man snooping near the bus, then breaking the window, and at one point, even popping the hood. It's unclear what he was after since he decided to leave the bus, but this small church is now left with an expensive fix.
As a small parochial school, we try to do the most with what we have, and we want to spend every dollar that we are given to us to help these kids. And so it's just a shame whenever we have to divert funds to, this kind of senseless nonsense.
The bus not even 2 years old, and this isn't the first time vandals have struck. Just 6 months ago, someone completely trashed the same bus.
The Sacred Heart Parish, a Catholic church in East Boston, was vandalized on at least 4 of its front doors, and a rock was thrown through a window. A priest at the church says witnesses told police that they were driving by and saw a woman scribbling on the doors.
They tried to get her to stop, and she apparently picked up this object and hurled it through our stained glass window.
It happened Monday night around 10 p.m. Father Guy says several witnesses tried to stop the woman, but she got away before police could arrive.
And then when they tried to, go after her to get her to stop, she took off down the street. And then they called 911. I have no idea why she would have done this, what her motives were or anything like that.
The scribblings mention QAnon, the name of an online far-right conspiracy theory. It has no connection to the Catholic Church.
It doesn't make any sense at all. I don't know why she would have done this. I don't know what it means. I mean, the only person it must have meaning for is this woman.
The father says it hurts that someone would do this, but in the meantime, he will pray for them.
This is our home, This isn't just where we pray once a week. This is our home.
A rainy but hopeful Sunday.
He volunteered and went in to give himself in. We were thankful he did that.
In June of last year, this man, Michael Adair, reportedly vandalized the Union Association building of the Old Regular Baptist Church in Pike County.
It cost us quite a bit of money, quite a bit of labor.
If it wasn't for the help of many, damage costs could have added up to nearly $10,000.
The people have worked so hard here to establish this, and they come along and vandalized it. It's very upsetting.
Instead, after some help from donations and free labor, repairs totaled nearly $7,500.
And we're thankful for every donation and all the workers that helped work to get it back in shape.
Jimmy Dale Sanders has been a church member for 50 years, and although it's easy to be upset with Adair for the damages,
God teaches us not to hate, to love people, although we get upset at times, naturally.
Sanders says he hopes Adair will turn his life around and get the help he needs.
He says 2 more teenagers were found, and then this, graffiti sprayed throughout, broken windows, and holes in the drywall. All in all, about $25,000 to $30,000 in various damages throughout the old school building. Douglas Elementary closed as a school about 10 years ago, but had recently been purchased by a church. It was about to be placed back on the market, and the owners wanted the deputy to make a run-through, and that's when the vandals were discovered. Police say they believe the vandalism had been occurring over the past several weeks. And all 4 teenagers, the 3 17-year-olds and 1 15-year-old, were charged with burglary third.
News 12's Meredith McCowan visited that church this afternoon. And Meredith, what did the pastor find inside?
Offensive drawings and satanic symbols. Plus, these tables were covered in residue from a fire extinguisher. The only things the teens tried to get away with are these drinks, but they had to go to jail thirsty.
But we clean up and we keep going.
Pastor Brian Taylor was out of town when it happened the first time and only made the discovery on Saturday when he got back. Vandalism and 2 flat screens stolen. Taylor lives right next door to his church. And this time around, he was ready.
I just saw a light on, so I called 911, and the police were here in about 3 minutes.
They broke through a back window of Forest Avenue Baptist on the south side of Sherman. Police say they heard people inside, so they used a dog to find 3 teenagers barricaded in a closet upstairs. Police arrested 17-year-old Raven Gonzalez. He faces charges as an adult. 2 other teens will likely be charged as juveniles.
They used a fire extinguisher to kind of blow into the tables and chairs.
Police say they had drinks from the food pantry, which Sherman Police Sergeant Brett Mullen says is bad enough.
But when you do it to a place that people consider sacred, such as a church, no matter what your religion is, it's even more concerning that taking place.
Taylor says they marked the walls with satanic symbols and numbers. There were even drawings of male genitalia on pictures of preschool children.
We're not angry in any way. Obviously, we want justice like everybody else, but at the same time, we want compassion.
But he says they're not discouraged, and they'll pick back up for Bible study and youth group Wednesday night.
So that window was broken, stained glass, priceless, really. The second story window, then one of our statues was broken too. Wax was thrown on him And then right here, his chasuble is chipped. The people started panicking a little bit that were out here helping us clean. And then we heard more crashing and more throwing of the candles. So we came out here to check what was happening. And then we just rushed everybody inside. And we came out afterwards, after he left, after the officers apprehended him, and we saw the damage. He took candles from Our Lady of Guadalupe and threw them at the church. Right? It's all wax. Damage right here. He swung at her. But like the saint she is, she stood fearless and strong.
Just look at this video of all the damage. A broken front door, multiple broken windows, and slashed church pews are what the persons involved left behind. And this isn't the first time the church has been hit, but Reverend James says this is the worst the church has seen and hopes more patrolling in the area will help.
Maybe be able to pick up on what's happening and be able to control it a little better.
It's total disrespect. Teenagers vandalizing the inside of Muskoge's St. Joseph Catholic Church.
They broke into the tabernacle and they took the consecrated host out, threw it on the floor. They lit all the candles and then used the fire extinguisher on them.
The church says the group was able to get inside the chapel with a code, but right now they don't know how the teens got a hold of it.
It's the whole idea of the desecration of church property. Was, that's what's upsetting, is not so much the physical damage, but it's the theme of it.
The Adoration Chapel is a very sacred place, and Lucille Ferguson with the church says seeing teens drinking and spitting out holy water is discouraging.
It's unfathomable that people would think to do something like that.
This wild rampage started right here Thursday morning at the Newhall Church of the Nazarene. That man vandalized this place, then ran on to the nearby freeway. He was chasing cars and even tried to jump onto a school bus. He started out fully clothed, but ended up wearing next to nothing.
They've been trying to kill me for years now. Seriously, look me up online. I'm on the internet. Facebook and Google+.
Nearly naked, wearing what appears to be a sports bra around his private parts, and making bizarre claims about a governmental conspiracy against him, a man is arrested and hauled off to jail. This is Newhall, Thursday morning, September 12th.
The government is trying to kill me because I'm a photographer.
By the time he was arrested, he had slowed or stopped traffic on the 5 freeway, chasing cars and trying to jump onto a school bus carrying not students, but a group of drivers to a school in Castaic. But witnesses say the violent and wild chain of events began at the nearby Newhall Church of the Nazarene, with security cameras capturing the stranger busting through a window with a chair. He was inside for nearly half an hour before the senior pastor arrived.
Heard a window break. And I said, someone's in our building. And because the alarm went off, I called 911, said there was fire, but there was no fire. It was fire. The guy had a fire extinguisher. He was listening to radio in there that was kind of about the government, talk radio thing. He was just listening to it full blast and just basically vandalizing the back part of our church.
The intruder, who Pastor Josh says has no ties to the church and had never been seen there before, escaped with a wooden cross and ran onto the freeway, stripping down in the process.
Police say an arsonist caught on camera set 2 altars ablaze, badly damaging St. Mary's Catholic Church in St. Clair.
7 Action News reporter Jen Shawns tells us why they believe it could be a hate crime.
Police are calling this one of the strangest crimes they've seen. The suspect busted in through a side door, then lit the altar cloth on fire, the flames reaching several feet into the air. But he didn't take anything other than this crucifix, leaving police scratching their heads. Early Tuesday morning, the man set fire to 2 altars in the church, the main altar and a smaller altar off to the side. Police think he used a lighter that he brought with him. They're still trying to figure out why he did this.
The damage he could have committed in there, but just chose to burn the altars is I don't know.
Based on how specific the suspect was and where he started the fires, police think this could be a hate crime. The damage is leaving the parish's 1,200 members without their regular place of worship. And it's leaving one of the church's longtime ushers, Mike Pastiva, without the goodbye he always wanted.
And he was very proud to be an usher. He liked getting dressed on Sunday morning in his best.
Mike, who was an usher for 31 years, passed away this week. His memorial was supposed to be at St. Mary's on Monday.
It was part of his life. It was his place.
But now, because of this arson, it won't happen the way he always wanted.
The statue at St. Michael Church on 9th Street was cleaned up just a day after its face was found covered in dog feces and a cigarette. A parishioner arriving for midday mass alerted the pastor about the vandalism. The pastor says he forgives whoever did this, even offered help if he or she comes forward.
2 people have been charged in the vandalism of a Lima church. Natasha Schaefer-Wingett and Theron Litke were both indicted for vandalizing New Life Assembly in June. They both are facing charges of vandalism and desecration. Court documents state the damages cost somewhere between $7,500 and $150,000. The church is also a community-oriented policing site. It was spray painted on the 3 sides of the building in a detached shed. The building was also found to have been pelted with 24 eggs. Schaefer-Wingett and Litke both have pretrials scheduled in later this month.
Parishioners leaving Sunday service were stunned to see anti-religious symbols defacing the Virgin Mary and the saint the church is named after. Boston 25 News reporter Drew Carides is live in Lynn, where the church is wondering who would stoop this low. Drew?
Yes, Bob, the graffiti etched here on the front of St. George Greek Orthodox Church, especially troubling to the parishioners here because of what it stands for. Church leaders tell me there is one blessing in all of this that allowed them to remove most of the graffiti from the 2 large icons that were vandalized.
It's shameful. Those symbols are really hideous, to say the least.
It's an appalling act that parishioners at St. George Greek Orthodox Church are taking personally.
Somebody's got a sick mind to think that this is okay.
Parish Council President Arthur Argyro says the graffiti scrawled on the front of the church is a direct hit to their Christian Greek Orthodox faith, an upside-down cross defacing the Virgin Mary, and an offensive symbol vandalizing St. George, who the church is named after.
That A symbol, which means anarchy, and then one of them had the devil symbol, which is the 3 6s.
Argyro says the church, that's a fixture on the Lynn Commons, has had a long-standing positive relationship with this community and can't recall ever being targeted with something so negative.